Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. The password is this. That's period, 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 dash, 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 period, period, period. All right, so some of you know what that means. Yeah, what is the Morse code for? There you go. All right, save our ship or something. So let's see where we were in the middle of stuff. You also have the homework 7 assignment that you might, so we'll maybe stop a little bit early and see if anybody wants to say anything about that. You want to have a JavaScript assignment that's just a little easy JavaScript exercise. And so I was thinking of adding something else as well, and we'll put this up there at some point. So things that would be nice to do, but I don't have probably time to do, but you can do it and just count it as an extra homework assignment if you want. So one of them is show us some other web editing tool like Visual Studio or Dreamweaver or whatever. So if you're familiar with one or you've been trying one out and you want to show it to us, we can count that as a homework assignment or something, because it would be useful for you to show us that. Anything else that I come up with, I don't have anything. So there's one other thing that I have in mind right now is make a WordPress site. The same look and feel as, so the same kind of colors and stuff as, let's say this stuff, maybe the same up here, and then some kind of blue bar, and then down below would be something different, but so that it looks like an ISU page for the student ACM club, perhaps. So a page should look like an ISU page. But can be different. So right now the student ACM club doesn't really, they have a link, but they don't really use it for anything. This, and it's kind of a pain. There's information about programming contests. It's kind of a pain because it's on our server, and then people have to be given access to the directory for the websites there. But if they had just a WordPress site that had the same kind of look and feel, then they could do whatever they want with it. So there's something else that would be nice for somebody to do. Other suggestions. If you have something else that you're looking at or working on, maybe give us a tutorial on blank, then we can count that for a homework assignment if you want. So if you need some homework points, rate it as, you'll get 100% if you do a reasonable job. And then I can look at that at the end if you had some trouble with the all or nothing grading, but then you could do that to just do something a little extra. All right, so if you're interested in that, then let me know. Questions about anything? All right, ready to continue. All right, let's go with the, we're in the middle of doing this. We had some mistake. So let's get back to that. Oh, it's even still open. Wow. Okay, so just to refresh, we have the HTML in our HTML page. We have the JavaScript in a JS file, and it's linked like this in the head. So it's inside of a script. There's nothing inside of the script. Instead, it just gives a source. So we could also put JavaScript code inside of here, but it's nicer to put it in a separate file. And to make sure that we don't make any global variables, I think we actually need to put this inside of here. We make a nameless function like this that gets immediately run because it's declared, it's defined, and then there's the double parentheses that makes it run. Okay, and so then what do we do when we want to set up our JavaScript stuff after the page loads so that all this stuff exists? So we make a function on load to do what we need to do, and at the moment all we're doing is we are assigning JavaScript to this button here. Okay, so the JavaScript for the button is set like so, and this is the function. We get the numbers, switch them around, do the addition algorithm. There's some mistake in there, and okay, so let's trace through this is just the algorithm. There's some mistake in the algorithm. New digit, number top, so adding a digit from the top plus the number from the bottom plus the carry. The carry is set to be, let's make that an integer. That's probably a problem. It's doing floating point division. And then the answer is this paragraph here. So the paragraph has the ID. That's all I have to do is start using another computer and it works. 2 plus 9. There's 11. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 45. That's okay. What about if we do 66? That's okay. All right, so it's probably giving the correct answer now. Good. Okay, so this is what the code looks like. If you want to remember what the code looks like before we change it, check the YouTube video and click pause. All right, so now what we want to do is instead of just adding them, we want to split it up into steps. So instead of add them, maybe we'll have a button that's called start, and we'll have another button that's called so this will be start button, and we'll have next. Okay, so then I need to do events for both of those. Whoops. And let's call this start. Okay, so when we're starting things off, we would want to write down probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 6. We would want to do something like that, right? And we're going to want to probably be able to get at each one of these individually. So we might want to make this a table. Because if we make it a table, then we can keep track of which column we're in and do stuff to it. So probably I'm going to have a table where there's a row here, a row here, and a row here, and this line could just be the border. Right now, the start button will just do everything still. Start. Start. Okay. Let's probably make it so that the algorithm shows up over here on the side. So to do that, probably we want to do something like div input unmatched p. Okay, whatever. And then we'll put another one, answer. And let's put this inside the answer. Then we need to add some style. So div dot input div dot answer border, say solid black 1 pixel float left. That doesn't look good. I guess it's all right. Margin. Padding. And why don't we say min this is a hack, but we'll just put it in. Okay, so now over here, instead of just having that answer there, I want to create a table. So that's inserting a table into the HTML. Because if you look at the HTML now, I don't have a table there. Right. So I'd like to insert one, and I don't know how long it's going to be. Until the numbers come in. So there's going to be some kind of loop inside the JavaScript code that's going to say for every digit in there, create a column. So I'll have 1, 2, 3 rows, put in some number of columns. Before we do that, let's just assume that it's going to be 4 digits and get it to work. So if it was going to be 4 digits, then it could look like this. Table, row, row. So then what are our columns going to be? So I'll have a column here for the plus, and then I have digits. Guess I have one extra there. Let's make it 3 digits because I don't like typing. Maybe 2 digits? 2 digits will be enough. Okay, let's make it 2 digits. Okay, so then I only have 3 columns I have to worry about. So, and 3 rows. And then I want to be able to get inside of each of the rows. So one way to, inside of each of the elements, so one way to do that is to put, make the ID of each of these. So I could say ID equals, and then I can call them whatever I want. So I could go like, this is column, whatever's going to be more convenient. I think maybe I'll start from whatever my JavaScript code looks like. So where's my JavaScript code? So here's my JavaScript code. I already have a loop that starts at the end and goes towards the beginning. So then I may as well do it like that here too. So this will be column 0, 1, 2, 3. And row, maybe top, bottom, answer. So I'll call this top 0. Let's do this. That one didn't get it. ID equals top 1, T2, bottom 2, answer 2, answer 1, bottom 1, answer 0, bottom 0. Okay, so then let's just try to put modify the algorithm so that I put the digits in the right place. Okay, so let's see. When I'm in here, this 72 is in a string, and the 65 is in a string, and this is index 0, and this is index 1, this is index 0, and this is index 1. So then that's what this I is. So I is, it starts off being 1 to do this column, and then it goes to 0. So if I want to put that over here, I just need to add 1. To say, let's do the we need to get at that. So I need to get at one of these things. I'll use the ID to do that. So ID top plus I plus 1. We'll see if that works. So that would potentially be the top digit. So I could say inner HTML equals whatever that digit is, number top. And then the same thing for the bottom. And the answer. And the answer should be the new digit. All right, so that should fill in 7, 3, and then there's a 1 that needs to go here in the zeros, and there's a plus. So that would be B0 gets a plus, and if there's a carry, then answer 0 gets the carry. I don't know, what are the chances that that works? 0. We should look at the error console. Okay, add numbers not defined. Let's take care of that. All right, so 72 plus 66. This 138 was the paragraph from before, so we probably don't need that anymore. I'll just comment that out. Comment that out here as well. And we want to have a border at the bottom here. So I will say for each of these, call them bottom. Now I need to put that in. Ants is not defined. That sort of looks okay. Okay, so then inside of here, instead of this is the layout we want. here. This is the layout we want, but we want the number of columns to grow. That's the only thing they'll have to change to make it at least display in the table. It won't be step by step yet, but we have to do that before we can make it step by step. Okay, so then inside of my JavaScript, there's going to be something here to create the table, to do this. And let's just review. I believe they have that in our notes. One of these. We looked at this one last time, I think. Let's try this one. Timers we're not doing right now, although if you want to, so I'm going to make it so that we click next to step through the algorithm. You could make yours so that there's a button that says run algorithm and it'll run it, like 1 second in between. A timer would be something you would use for that. Okay, here's the document object model. So what JavaScript is thinking of, it's thinking of the page like this, and then somewhere inside we're going to have a div, and we're going to add to it. We're going to start adding children. So there's going to be some kind of function called addChild that we're going to need, and that's what they're going to show us. Get element, inner HTML. So this is telling us that we shouldn't be doing this inner HTML business because it's bad. Creating a new node. So this is what we want to do. So create an H2 element with this on the inside, and then we can set style and stuff like that. Create element, and then append it. All right, so we're going to need to create, let's say that we have our rows, and we're just going to need to put our let's say that we may as well make this easy on ourselves. So let's say that we have the table, the rows, and the first column, because there's always going to be at least one column. And then we'll just need to add the rest. So then what we need to do is we need to get to this element and add something next to it. Or get to this element, and so in terms of our document object model tree, you'll have a row, and then you'll have a number of elements. So what I want to do top. And we'll need one for the bottom. And the answer. So new TD top dot. Okay, so what did we have over here? We had an ID. We want to set the ID. And if you have an attribute in HTML, how do you get to it in the JavaScript? Your guess is just use the same name and see what happens, or look it up. So let's just assume that that's going to be right. So it'll be T plus, we already have 0, so we want to be with 1. Start at 1. So I plus 1. Same thing for the bottom and the answer. Okay, was there anything else there? The bottom gets a class. Maybe that's not right. That's not right. Classes, maybe, I don't know. JavaScript DOM class. Change that. Class name, okay. Because class is a keyword in JavaScript. Just like for, you can't have a variable called for. You can't have something called class. All right, so that should take care of those. That's all that they have as IDs, and the bottom has a bottom class. And then we need to add them. Create new TD. Objects. And then add them to the table. So we would do document.get element by ID row T dot append child. Same thing for the bottom. So B and A, bottom and answer. That might work. So append child is probably going to move them to the right, which is where we want them to be added. We can try this out. I will just end that there and leave this as a comment for now. Alright, so in here we have a table that's there, 3 rows, 1 column, and then we go in here, and depending on how long the number is, we add the rows and columns. So now this should, after we get rid of mistakes, it should work for arbitrary length, maybe. No errors, that's good. Let's try 12 plus 65. That's good. Add another one. Looks kind of weird. Okay, looks kind of weird. Is it the right answer though? All right, so how many columns should there be? How many TDs should there be in this row? 5 or 6, because there's one at the beginning. Let's look at what it looks like. Okay, so first row, T0, T1, wait a minute. T1, T2, T1, T2, T3, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. There's problems there, right? Anybody know what's going on? So it's appending, and so then when I do a new number, it's going through and appending again, even though I already have stuff there. So I take care of that. Either I don't add new columns if I already have them, or I get rid of columns. Right? I could go into the document object model tree and get rid of everybody but the first column every time they click start. That's probably the simplest to keep track of because you don't have to see whether you have enough or something. Well, it doesn't really matter. I guess the thing is if you have a really long number, then this would grow wider, and then if you do a really short number, it would be still wider. I don't know. I guess the fastest. Let's see if they tell us how to get rid of. There's going to be a here we go. Append, insert before, and remove. Removes the given node from this node's child list. So the way that we would have to remove something is we'd have to do something like, we'd have to say this thing dot remove this thing. Parent dot remove child. So we can do that, or we can, if there's already something there, we don't create a new one. Doesn't really matter. Let's take a vote. Who wants to remove things? Who wants to just leave them there and not add new ones if we don't need to? You must vote. Who wants to remove? Who wants to leave them there? There are more votes for leaving them there. So that's what we'll do then. It's close. It's like 6-2 or something. Okay, so then adding to the table only needs to happen if there's not something already there. All right, so what we could do is we could test, is there already a I+1 column? So if there is, then we don't need to do anything. Let's try node equals document dot get element by ID T1 T plus. So that, okay, so now we want to see, did that work? Okay, so what does document.get element by ID return if there's nothing that has that ID? That was, I think, in a previous set of slides. Let's just look it up. So document.get element by ID. We'll trust Microsoft's information, I guess. Parameters, blah, blah, notes. If there's no element, this function returns null, lowercase. Okay, so if node is not equal to null, continue. Let's see if that works. Go back to the console, no errors. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start. Doesn't look funny. So that looks all right. And if you want to make this line continuous, you can figure that out. That'll have to do with the spacing between the TDs, I think. Okay, so the next step is to, when you click Start, you only make the table and maybe you put the numbers there, but then you don't put the answer. And then when you click Next, it'll do one column at a time. Okay, so okay, so what's Start supposed to do? You get the number top, you get the number bottom, you switch them around if needed, you add elements to the table, you don't need to compute the answer. So now display top and bottom numbers. So we won't do this new digit business. Just top and bottom, and then we put in the plus. So that would be the start. Syntax error. Okay, there it is, and then if we click next, well, it's doing some stuff, but let's take a look at what we want to do. So we get the top and we get the bottom. We don't have to make sure because that's already been done. We don't have to do that, that's already been done. We don't have to do that, that's already been done. So computing the answer, let's just leave it like that. So we need to compute the answer, and we don't have to put the top and the bottom in, we're just doing the answer. Okay, so what if they click next? What happens first if they click next first? What happens is it runs this function. So what does the function do? So you get, there's that, you get the number top and the number bottom, you're computing the answers, the top and the bottom haven't been displayed, and you haven't added the items to the table. So you'll probably see there's an error in the console. What the user would see is nothing because they're not looking at the console. You cannot set inner HTML of null. That's because, line 22, there is nothing with ID A1. Doesn't exist yet. All right, so we could make sure that they hit start first and then next. And things are messed up because of this business. So in our next function here, we could check to make sure. Check to make sure table is long enough. So if document.get element by ID t plus number, oh no, I had number top and number bottom were strings, right? Eventually, where did I, number top dot length, no, okay, it's already a string, so number top dot length plus 1, just return. So if this is null, if it doesn't exist yet, all right. That's good, no error. Then I can click start and next. Problem. No, don't need a +1. If the length is 2, then it goes 0, 1, 2. Okay, if they're going to know that they shouldn't click next, we could be nice to them and have it gray at the beginning. Right? So how do you make a button gray? Somebody knows? Disabled or enabled or something like that? Anybody? So if we don't know, we can always just do it here too. So there's a button. Let's do disable. Disable. No, that's not a thing. I guess it would be in here. Can I change it in here? No. If I do it, it might work even if it's not correct. Just disabled. Okay, so disabled. Let's try that. Okay, then I want to enable it when I click the start button. So I want to call this is next button. I guess I'll enable it if I get through the entire start function. Get element by okay, so that's that. Let's see. All right, isn't that lovely? All right, now we want the next to go one step at a time, right? Okay, so we want to think about unrolling this loop so the next does one part of the loop. The loop starts at I equals length -1, and then it just keeps going until I is done. Also, the carry gets set, and so we need to keep some. We need to have some information that's saved, right? In between function calls. Maybe we want to have a carry spot up here. We could just save it up there. That'd be one way to do it. Yeah, let's save it up there. So let's make us have a carry. So we need to do a carry row as well. So there's a carry, and if we were hard coding it, it would be like this. Okay, and then down here, anywhere we're doing something with top, we may have to do something with carry. We don't need to do that. We do need to make carry objects. And when we start, we don't have to put anything in the carry. But if we were inside here, we could okay, so if we're going from here to here, I is, so if we're on the end here, I is 1, and we want to put the carry over the 7. So we just want to put it on carry 1, just to display it. No carry being displayed. Let's see. Okay, so there's a problem with creating the carry rows. New td dot carry. Okay, now there's a spot for him. Maybe I just didn't reload it. Okay, so now all the information is there. So let's see. When you start, let's see. When we start, we should get rid of the stuff in the bottom in the carry. Agree with that? Add elements and get rid of anything in bottom and carry. So C plus I, we want to get rid of, okay. Not get rid of, but anything in, okay. Okay, so if node is null, then we're done. Otherwise, we say node.inner HTML equals nothing. That'll get rid of anything that's in there. We'll do the same thing for the bottom. Oh, there wasn't any carry, was there? That's why it didn't show up. Okay, so now if I say start again, the bottom's still there. Oh, it's not the bottom, it's the answer. And okay, so now after that is done, then inside my next, I could do one digit and stop, right? I just need to decide which digit I'm supposed to be doing. And for that, I can look in the bottom. Or I could store it, but for now I'm just going to look at it in the bottom. So I'll go from right to left, and the first time I find something that's empty, I'll do that. So we'll still do this. Now just do one digit at a time. So this would go number top dot length -1. I guess we can just leave that. Do the next digit. So we don't have to do that. So if so B or answer plus I plus 1 . So if it's empty, then we're going to go and do it. Otherwise, let's say it like this. If it's not equal to that, then we continue. Otherwise, we're going to do, we want to do this plus this. So we'll have, and then we need to get the carry from not up there, but we need to get it from up here. So instead of having the carry in our code, we're going to grab it from up here. So document.get element by ID C plus I dot inner HTML. Okay, so we got the digit, we got this digit, we got the carry, we compute the new digit. We need to get the carry first of all. Which one is this? So if I'm at index 0 on this, index 1 there. So you get the carry from the page, you compute the new digit, you have that digit, you put it in. If the carry is greater than 0, then we put it in. Okay, so that should be fine. And then we break. So this loop is really just going from here to do a digit. So you just do one digit, 6 plus 4, and then you put a carry up here. Whatever. So you put a carry up here, and then stop. Okay, so what's the value of I at the bottom here if the loop went all the way through? How do we know when we should just write down the carry? What's the value of I going to be? So we go through, we do this. So the I is keeping track of the index in the actual number, not in the table. So we do this, and then we'd be over here to write down the last carry. What's I going to be? You did 0, so it should be -1. So this would be if I is less than 0, and there's a carry, then we set it. Wait, no. Okay. So the I goes left to right, and the value of I is the spot where there was a blank. So if I is 0, then there was a blank here, right? Okay, so we do this. All right, so then the next time we would write down the carry. What if it's already done? The number's already done.
They won't be okay.
Should we allow them to click, right, we shouldn't allow them to click next when it's done. So we should we'll do it like this. Make them start again and put the carry in if there is one. I need to have that declared outside the loop because I compute it inside the loop, but then I use it outside the loop. That's good. NaN, okay, so what's going there? New digit, %, plus %, plus carry. And so there's a mistake somewhere here. So the carry, did I have this wrong? All right, when I'm over here, I would be carrying from this spot. There's not going to be anything there. But so the index here is 0, 1, 2. And I will be 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. That should be okay. I'm assuming that's what's happening. Alert carry. So if I try to print carry, it'll say object or something. Did it really reload? Well, all right, to fix that, but we have 2 minutes left, so we'll say something here about what you're going to do. That'll be for next time. Okay, so this is what we've done. What do we start with? First, you have just inputs, and you just click it, and you do whatever you're supposed to do. So you convert from binary to decimal or whatever. If you want to find code for that, okay, it's better if you do it yourself because you can. But if you want to find JavaScript code for whatever your algorithm is, cite your source and make sure you understand it. Make sure it's not a big jumble of mess. Okay, so first you have it so that it will compute the answer and just display it, right? Okay, and then you're going to think about what's the HTML going to have to look like so that you can do it step by step. Get your HTML to be displayed right, the way we did here, so that you can have it step by step, and then break it apart. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to have JavaScript code that does whatever the thing is that you picked. So that's what you want to show me, and then I can say, okay, how are you planning on breaking it apart? And you can say, whatever. All right, so this is theoretically, I said next Friday. That should be a goal in your head. Isn't that what I said? Yeah. You want to have an easier JavaScript assignment as well? So you want me to make one up so that you could work on that when you don't want to work on this? Is that right? Okay, so the normal thing that JavaScript gets used for is, okay, games or validating forms. So let's say that I'll make something up and let you know the exact rules or whatever, but say you're going to have a form to do what? There will be some form. Okay, and then I'll give you some rules about things you want to check with JavaScript. So when they click a button, you'll have an on click that, yes, okay, so this will combine PHP and JavaScript. So there'll be some PHP form. You guys are experts at that, right? And before the form is submitted, JavaScript will come along and probably we should do this in class. You want to do this? All right, well, I'll make something up, and then if you guys want to see an example in class, we'll do that next time. The basic idea is you got a PHP form that's going to do something. Then you want to check the input with your JavaScript before it goes to the form, before it goes to the server. All right, something. If you want to ask about your topic, you can. Otherwise, the end.